Hello and welcome to Books of Blood. My name is John, and today I'm going to be bringing to you part 35 of my horror movie collection. So that being said, today instead of doing the normal 10 films, and I'll explain why I'm doing this, but today instead of doing the normal 10 movies that I usually do on this channel or on these videos, I'm going to go ahead and do 20. And the reason I'm doing that is because 7 out of the 10 films are the films in the Saw franchise. And so I just thought it would be better, instead of letting that dominate the video, to go ahead and do some other films after those as well. So that being said, let's go ahead and get underway. And maybe there's something here you haven't seen. Maybe there's something here you haven't seen in a long time. Maybe there's something here that you would like to see. So let's go ahead and get underway. First up, and this is from Ty West. Now, Ty West is the director of House of the Devil and The Innkeepers. And he also directed one called Sacrament, or The Sacrament, excuse me. Basically, this is, if you think the whole Jim Jones and the whole Guyana tragedy and stuff, that's pretty much what you've got with this particular film. It's, I don't know if it's really like like you would consider found footage, but it's really close to it, at least in my opinion. And of course, it's about this very charismatic cult leader and this group that gets involved with him, and then they realize that this guy's not exactly what he appears to be, and this whole thing is not what it appears to be. I've only watched this once. I liked it, but I have to admit I didn't like it as much as I did House of the Devil or The Innkeepers. All right. If I were going to do a list of Ty West movies in the order that I've seen them and or in the order that I like them for the ones I've seen, I would have to do The Innkeepers, House of the Devil, and then this one. All right. Anyway, The Sacrament. Okay. All right. Next up. Now, this is one, I've had this movie for a long time. I got it at FYE, and I have not watched it. I don't know why I haven't watched it. Anyway, it's S&Man, and that's with the fashionable kind of spelling with the ampersand, which is, of course, and, so S&Man. You know, and they even make sure that you know to pronounce it Sandman down here. I guess because they don't want somebody thinking, sand symbol man, I don't know. Or Sampersand man or something like that. I don't know what this movie is about. I think it is directed by J.T. Petty. Yes, it is. Let's see. When cult favorite horror filmmaker J.T. Petty ventures into the dark world of underground horror, things don't exactly go as planned. As he examines the comparison between filmmaking and voyeurism within the horror genre, he uncovers a collective of filmmakers, deviants, and self-professed possible murderers. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about this movie. I may have to put this in and watch it. Anyway, Sandman. All right, next up, we are moving into the Saw franchise. So I'm just going to flash these. Actually, you know what? I want you guys, if you have actually watched the Saw movies, I want you to comment down below. Comment and tell me, what was your favorite kill? Or what was the one that you just kind of went, ugh, I don't want to see that kind of thing. Comment that. I would love to know what it is. I'm trying to think of what my favorite kill in the Saw movies is. I really don't know, because some of them can get pretty, they could get pretty freaking grotesque. One of them, what was the character's name that Dina Meyer played, where she had her chest basically, her ribs just basically pulled apart? You know, I mean, that was just nasty scene. And then the guy that was on the thing where his arms and legs are out like this, like the Fluvian Man, I think, Fluvian Man or whatever he's called. And he just, it just slowly turns his bones around and just cracks him and breaks him. That was pretty nasty too, all right? Anyway, of course, I've got the 7 movies, and I've also got Jigsaw, but I talked about that one already in another video. But of course, yeah, you got Saw 2, and big surprise, Saw 3. That's a spoiler alert. Saw 4. Yep. Let's see. Saw 5. Yep. Saw 6. And it's got a pretty freaky little thing there. Pretty cool. And finally got Saw 7, and that's the only one I've got on DVD, or Blu-ray, excuse me. Anyway, of course, you know what the Saw movies are about. This guy that's been diagnosed with cancer, and he decides he's going to become a serial killer and basically make people do horrible things to themselves. You know, that whole I want to play a game thing and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's pretty much the premise of the Saw movies. Moving on. And, you know, I said I had 20 movies here, but I'm going to try to get through these as quickly as I possibly can. Moving on from the Criterion Collection, this is one of David Cronenberg's masterpieces of body horror. Personally, I think his biggest masterpiece of body horror is definitely The Fly. I mean, that is just an absolutely fantastic movie. And I'm going to do the whole cliche thing. Goldblum should have been at least nominated for an Oscar, but he wasn't. Big, we know. Anyway, this is Scanners. And this, like I said, the Criterion Collection version of Scanners. Pretty freaky cover there. Let's see, what does the inside of it look like? Inside looks the same. Yeah, well, actually, no. The inside of the thing looks more like this. But that's a derivative. And then you turn it around, so it's kind of like you got the start of the guy, because you know it's about these people that have these like telekinetic powers, and there's the scene in the movie. If you've not, it's been years. If you have not seen Scanners, spoiler alert, they make people's heads explode. These guys with these powers that they can do like telekinesis and stuff like that. So like here's the beginning of it, and then advances a little further until his head's getting ready to just pop off. And then, you know, right here, it's like representation that it has blown apart. Of course, it doesn't look like that in the movie. Pretty freaky movie. That one and Videodrome are like really freaking crazy, especially Videodrome. All right. Okay, I'm going to include these 4 movies as one little set here. I got the Scream triple feature going on here. Of course, you know, Scream is the whole meta thing with the self-aware thing with horror movies. It's like you're in a horror movie, but you kind of know you're in a horror movie because the things, all the tropes that happen in horror movies, like, I don't know, like, oh, you're being chased. Let's run upstairs. My wife always said something very smart about people who run upstairs. You always run out of up. You know, unless you're in a plane or something like that, you always run out of up. And even then, if the plane can only go so far, and then you'd have to be in a spaceship. But if you're running upstairs, that's it. But get out of the house and you have a little better chance. You know, that's just one of the horror movie tropes. And thinking, what are some other horror movie tropes I'm trying to think about here? I don't know. I'm having trouble thinking here. Here's one. How about that no matter how fast you run and no matter how slow the killer walks, he always catches you. There's one for you. Also, hiding. I love when people hide in horror movies. And first of all, they're panting and heaving and stuff so badly. You're sitting there thinking, how does the killer not hear you? All right. And I'm not making fun of horror movies. I'm making fun of the tropes. I'm trying not even to do that. I'm just saying that's, you know, how does the killer not hear you when you're hiding in a place and he's walking real close and you're like, like that. And you're like, how does this killer not hear you? And then what gets me is they never wait long enough for the killer to be gone before they come out. It's like, they don't hear footsteps and they think, oh, he's gone. And then they just bust out and next thing you know, they're getting their head chopped off or some crazy crap like that. Anyway, that is what the Scream franchise is kind of making fun of, is that. So there you go, those horror movie tropes. So yes, I do have Scream 4 also. So Scream 1, 2, 3 in a triple feature pack and Scream 4. So, and I think they're talking about doing a Scream 5. Do you guys want to see it? Let me tell me in the comments. Tell me, do you guys want to see a Scream 5? Is there going to be a Scream 5? From what I understand, there is going to be one. But at the same time, I also have to ask myself why. You know. So there you go. All right. Next up, I got a couple of films here from the After Dark Originals thing, and the first one is Scream of the Banshee. and this should have been a TV movie. And in fact, I think it might have been a TV movie on Sci-Fi, and then they decided to put it out as a DVD under the After Dark Originals thing, if I remember correctly. Anyway, this stars Lauren Holly and Lance Henriksen. Of course, you know Lance Henriksen was Bishop in Aliens, and he's been in a ton of horror movies. He was in Pumpkinhead as the father and all. And Lauren Holly, she was in, of course, Something About Mary, and she was in the old TV series Picket Fences. This going to sound really sexist, but I always thought she was really hot. So, you know, but hey, I was a younger man back then. So there you go. That's Scream of the Banshee. And let me see what this says. A college professor and her students discover an ornate box in the basement of their university. When they open the artifact, a blood-curdling scream is unleashed. According to Irish lore, those who hear a banshee scream will die, which is what begins to happen as the creature comes for each of them. I always thought banshees were pretty fascinating, but this was really not that fascinating of a movie. So there you go. All right, next up, another After Dark original, and this is Seconds Apart, and this is like about some evil twin boys. I've heard this is pretty good. I saw it. I don't remember much about it. What I did remember about it, I didn't necessarily like it. I don't know why. But anyway, here we go. Seth and Jonah are murderous twins who share an evil kinship. Damned from the moment of their births, the brothers possess a gruesome talent for telekinesis, a power they use in the most horrific ways imaginable. As their fellow students meet gory fates, the local law enforcement begins to suspect the twins' connection to some depraved murders. What started as a jealous rage escalates into a supernatural showdown, pitting brother against brother, evil against evil. Anyway, that is Seconds Apart. I think they have like telekinetic powers, which kind of reminds me of The Fury, which was a book written by John Ferris and then was made into a movie directed by Brian De Palma. And it was about two kids, brother and sister, that had these telekinetic powers. Okay, also coming up, I've got the only two films. I don't think there's going to be any more made as far as I know, but these are two slasher films that starred the WWE's Kane as Jacob Goodnight. And this is See No Evil and See No Evil 2. This one is much better than this one. See No Evil, I'll give you a little bit of trivia. This one was actually directed by a guy who is known for directing porno movies, Gregory Dark. So yeah, it does leave a lot to be desired. I mean, it's okay. It's not horrid, but it's not great either, you know, or it's not good. I will say this much: I did think that Kane, aka Glenn Jacobs, I do think he made for a pretty darn good horror movie villain. And of course, now he's like the mayor of Knoxville, Tennessee, or something like that. I don't know if it's Knoxville or somewhere, but he's the mayor of a town in Tennessee now. So yeah, if you ever watch WWE Raw and you see Kane and he does the whole thing with his hands and the pyro comes up out of the ring post, yep, he's the mayor of a town in Tennessee, or he was. I think he still is. But yeah, this one is it's just decent. It's not great. It's not good. It's not horrible. It's decent. But then you have part two. Part two has a better cast. First of all, it's got two pretty iconic scream queens in Danielle Harris and Catherine Isabel. Danielle Harris, of course, started off with the Halloween movie. She played the young little girl Jamie Lloyd in the franchise. Catherine Isabel has been in Ginger Snaps, Freddy vs. Jason. She was on Hannibal. Pretty good little pedigree right there with that. And this is also directed by the Saska sisters, Jen and Sylvia Saska. So that's a big plus there because they make some pretty awesome movies like American Mary and Dead Hooker in a Trunk. And then they did the remake of Rabid also, which was actually pretty good in my opinion. All right. Okay, next up. This one is a strange movie. It's one I have not watched in a long time. I need to watch it again just to see if I can pick up anything else from it, but I'm talking about Session 9. This is such a strange movie. It's about these workers that they go into this sanitarium or sanatorium. In other words, a place for, one of those old places for, pardon my expression, crazy people. And they find these tapes and all these, excuse me, goodness gracious, I'm so sorry about that. All these weird things start happening to every one of them. It's one of those movies that if you just watch this movie one time, you're going to be thinking, what the hell just happened? I know this movie bears repeated viewing. I have just not gotten around to watching it again. But it stars David Caruso, of course, played Horatio Kane on Miami, CSI Miami. Let me see. Josh Lucas, Paul Guilfoyle, another one from the CSI franchise. Let me see. Stephen Gavadon, I think it is. Brendan Sexton III, just a number of people. But it's directed by Brad Anderson, who has also directed The Machinist. And, of course, The Machinist was pretty excellent movie. So, yeah, this is session 9. Getting down to the bottom here, we've got with, of course, David Fincher's Seven. And I heard they're thinking about remaking this movie. All I can tell you is this: don't. This movie is such a freaking awesome movie. And now, is it Fincher's masterpiece? I don't know if it's Fincher's masterpiece, but it is a freaking hell of a good movie. And yes, I believe it is a horror movie. Some people might say, no, it's a crime movie. Yeah, but most of your crime movies don't have a guy that's killing people in accordance with the 7 deadly sins, and it's pretty nasty murders, all right? Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman, they're absolutely fantastic in this movie. Yeah, this may actually be David Fincher's masterpiece, if you ask me. Anyway, if you don't know what this movie is about, it's about these two detectives played by Pitt and Freeman who are on the trail of a serial killer who is killing people in accordance with the 7 deadly sins. Give you an example: gluttony. The killer makes this guy eat cans and cans and cans and cans and cans of SpaghettiOs, and then when he can't eat anymore, he kicks the guy in the stomach and ruptures his stomach and it kills him. Yeah. Now, you never see the things happen. You just see the aftermath of the crimes. The one that will freak you out the most is going to be the one for Sloth. If you've not watched this movie and you get to the one where the sloth killing, yeah, it is gruesome. All right. There you go. 7. Okay. I'm finishing out with 2 shark movies. You guys like shark movies? I love shark movies. Jaws. Let's see. What is another one? Jaws 2, 3. Even Jaws the Revenge, as bad as it was, hey, it had a shark in it, all right? Anyway, this is one that I actually was not sure if I was going to like it or not. I just thought, well, I'll go see it because of the director. I believe it's the same director that directed The Orphanage, and I thought, whoa, this might be pretty good. Anyway, this is The Shallows. And it's got one of those lenticular covers. Turn around, it gets all red and bloody, and anyway, it stars Blake Lively, and she's out surfing, and she gets attacked by a great white, and she has to figure a way to get back to shore, but this thing just keeps circling around. I think it's going to make a meal out of her. I was really surprised by this movie. It has some excellent action pieces to it with the shark, some pretty gruesome pieces with the shark, and overall, it's a pretty damn good shark movie. All right. Next up, moving on, we have got the final one. This is another one of the shark movies I mentioned. Well, I didn't mention it yet, but anyway, this is Shark Night. And this is a strange movie. Not a strange movie, but yeah, it's kind of, let's think, I think it was actually directed by, David Ellis. I believe he also directed Snakes on a Plane, and you know what type of movie that is. This is basically the same thing. Just think, instead of snakes on a plane, think sharks in a lake. And yes, I said lake. They are not sharks in the ocean. They are sharks in a lake, which I don't think sharks can actually survive in a lake because of the different types of water. I know there are some sharks that can, bull sharks, I believe. But anyway, this has got Catherine McPhee, Sarah Paxton. Let me see who else is in this thing. Josh Leonard from the Blair Witch Project, Joel David Moore. Let me see. Donald Logue. Let me see. Yeah, just all things. Anyway, let me read the synopsis because it's really one of those weird ones. A dream getaway becomes a blood-soaked nightmare for 7 scantily clad college students in this terrifying action thriller from the director of The Final Destination and Snakes on a Plane. When Sarah and her friends arrive at her family's Louisiana lake house, they quickly strip down to their swimsuits for a weekend of sexy fun in the sun. But they soon discover the lake is infested with hundreds of flesh-eating sharks and a few equally dangerous human predators that turn their killer vacation into a bone-crunching battle to stay alive. I love what they say, flesh-eating sharks. Makes them sound like a parasite. I mean, I think man-eating sharks would be just fine, or killer sharks or something like that. I don't know, but flesh-eating sharks, that is it. That is Shark Night. Anyway, that is going to do it. That is my horror movie collection part 35. I'm sorry if this ran on just a little bit too long. Anyway, the working week is getting to start, so whatever you do out there, please be safe. And until next time, this is going to post on Tuesday. Until then, be safe and have a great night. Bye.